What's up, guys? We're back. I took a little bit of a hiatus, obviously from YouTube, a little bit from Instagram as well. It's been a minute since we were on YouTube last, and so I'm really excited to be back on here, getting out new episodes every single week. I hope you guys want to stay here with me, watch the episodes, click the subscribe button now if you haven't already. I'm gonna probably remind you of that at the end of the video as well, but just go ahead and do your thing. Today, we're gonna go through a little bit of, why I ended up being off social media for a little bit, as well as my future plans for my competing. I did a short Q&A on my Instagram asking you guys what you guys wanna see on this channel, as well as what you guys are wondering about. It's been about 2 years since I was on here last, and I know you guys keep watching the episode, so it's gonna be really cool to get something new out. It was also a bit of a project for me to find Mr. Nick behind the camera here, that can produce the high quality content that I want to put out, because for me, it's really important that the content that I produce holds a very high standard for you guys, because at the end of the day, my content is something I'm very passionate about, and I only want to put out the best for you guys because you guys deserve it. So it was a project to find him, but now we're rolling with everything, and I'm super excited to be able to provide the content that I've always wanted to put out. So we're here. Now, reason for why I took a bit of a hiatus, I just had a really, really long prep. It really ended up being very hard on my mental, had a lot of stuff going on in my private life. That in combination led to a bunch of things that just, I needed to take a break. Essentially, I've been an influencer, whatever you want to call it, for the last 10 years. So I've been on social media platforms for a decade, since I was about 17, 18 years old. And so sometimes you just need a break to kind of, live your life, do your thing outside of the cameras, outside of that Instagram, YouTube, whatever you want to call it. And so I did that, and now we're back because at the end of the day, this is what I love to do. So future plans for competing, and everything else around bodybuilding. So as you guys may not know, I used to compete in figure. I started off actually in bikini all the way back in 2000, I believe 14 was my first show. Won a couple of shows in bikini in my home country of Sweden. Competed in bikini for several years actually, and after a while I naturally got to be too big for bikini, had to transition into figure. Turned pro in figure in my second year of competing. Went to the Olympia same weekend that I turned pro. And competed in figure for, I think it was 3 years, if I'm not mistaken, 3 or 4 years, 3 years, I think. I turned pro in 2020, 2023. So yeah, 3 years. And after that, now last, I had a pretty successful season. I competed in Puerto Rico Pro. I won Puerto Rico Pro, qualified for Olympia last year. I also competed at Chicago, and then at the Olympia, I competed as well. Now, my body is a little bit special. It doesn't really like to have long preps and diets. There's probably tons of reasons for that. I know there's a bunch of competitors that can compete, over and over and just pick up the checks and do that. For me, I personally, this is probably something I haven't mentioned anywhere really, but I have 3 autoimmune conditions, and they have been, most of them diagnosed way before even bodybuilding. So I know, and I know what my body can do and can't do, but at the same time, we're still trying to figure out, the balance between like, okay, I want to do more shows, to put myself more out there, to show the judges and to have more experience, right? But then at the other side, like my body can only handle so much because of these conditions that do affect me from time to time, especially under stress, whether that's physical stress or mental stress, whatever the case is. Preps that extend, like last year, my prep was a whole year. I prepped for Puerto Rico for about 6 months, and then I went to Chicago, and then after that, I had to start prep for Olympia. So it ended up with me like literally, prepping for Olympia and all of that for 11 months. And my body just shut down, and I ended up looking like complete garbage, actually, at the Olympia, which is okay, it happens. It's an experience. And I'm excited to do something else. And I think that for a long time, my focus was kind of at like, I wanted to be as big as possible, but I also didn't want to be a female bodybuilder. So kind of, you know, in that division. So it kind of didn't go together. I think that after a while, I kind of also realized that, like, look, Sam, you have great genetics. I think anybody that goes to Olympia are, you know, genetically gifted with the best of the best in the world in one way or another, right? But for me, I was always very lower body dominant and always had to hold that back in order for my upper body that isn't really that dominant to grow and kind of, you know, come together to be able to compete in figure, which is a very balanced physique top to bottom. Somehow, you know, I ended up training upper body probably 5 times out of the week, and I train legs maybe once a week for them to be the same size. And genetically, I just don't really have a lot of upper body, especially back. Shoulders and arms were always fine, but my back just didn't really keep up. It didn't really matter if I trained it super hard, super intense 3 times a week. It just doesn't grow at the same rate as everything else. And for figure, that's a problem. So I decided that I wanted to go another route. Wellness came out, and I thought it was badass. Now, in wellness, just like any other division, there's different types of wellness physiques as well. I still do want to maintain some of my upper body. Obviously, I can't keep it all because it's not figure, but I still want to be aesthetic, and I still want to look very athletic, and I think that's the kind of wellness physique that I would want to go for when I compete. Current state is that I'm trying to grow, because I do have to grow my lower body a lot to change my proportions and to be able to compete as a wellness pro. And when I compete to win. I don't compete to just participate. I go in wanting to compete at the Olympia. That's my main goal, only goal with competing. It's too much work for it to be anything else for me. So when I go in, I go all in, and yeah, we're aiming to get that first place. So for me, I know I'm very realistic as well. I know I have to be bigger to be able to compete with these girls and show up at my best. And I have a very clear vision of the physique that I want to put on stage again for the wellness division. And that means I have to grow a bunch. So right now we're trying to grow everything. And then next year I am going to at some point pick a show, and we're going to obviously document the whole process, every week of prep, all the stuff like that, all the cool stuff. And so yeah, this is basically like vlogging or, you know, YouTubing my entire process of getting to the wellness stage and everything that goes into it. And you're also going to see a lot of like my life outside of training as well. What do I do? You know, my traveling and everything that goes into my entire life and how I live, and, you know, all the experience that I have also in bodybuilding for the last 10 years of doing this. So yeah, that's where we're currently at. Today we're going to be training quads, and it's probably my toughest session, I would say, for sure. It does get a little bit nervous before, just because when it comes to quads, there's so many compound movements, very heavy compound movements, and some of them are a little bit intimidating, just mentally. So you kind of have to lock in a lot. For me, at least, I have to lock in and really focus when I train quads, and really make sure that I go in with the right mindset, because it's gonna get pretty heavy and it does get very, very painful. But I love to do this, so I'm excited to bring you guys with. And yeah, we're in Miami right now. So the last, 2.5 years that I've been here, I've been just going from like state to state to state, trying to figure out where I want to be, you know, all the best places, because I don't have any family here. I came here all alone, and that's a whole story of its own that we're going to take some other time on how I got here. But we moved to Miami a couple months ago, me and Sebastian, and I am loving it here. Best gyms. I love the sun. I love the beaches and everything that goes with it, and the lifestyle that we're able to live here. So we're going to go to Miami Strong. I'm going to finish my pre-workout right here. This is 125 grams of just plain white rice. It's jasmine rice, and 125 grams of chicken as well. So I'm going to finish this, then we're going to head on and go to the gym, and you guys are going to follow me there. There's no smooth entrance into this machine. So always when I go into my quad days, the first thing that I do is I warm up my adductors. After this, we're gonna go into the first heavy movement of my quad session for today, which is gonna be the regular barbell squat. before I get on to that movement, because it's such a heavy movement, compound movement for me, I need to warm up my adductors. I use a lot of adductor regardless of how my foot stance is naturally when I squat, just the way that my body works. So I've had no injuries during my career in competitive bodybuilding that have been ever serious or anything that's ever been like an issue. But I have at some times when I don't warm up my adductors in the past, before I squat, I have felt some kind of like weird, tingly, hurting sensation in my adductors. So I always make sure to warm up my adductors. Nothing crazy, because I do cover them very hard when I do my actual hamstring days. But I go in and I warm them up just to make sure that they're warmed up for my barbell squats. And so yeah, so that's what we're gonna do right now. So this for me, like most movements, is a very controlled movement. I set it up so that it's at the end of my natural range of motion for how flexible I am, which in this machine I could be probably further back, but right now I think this is probably as far back as this machine goes. I can hit the splits, so for me I don't really lack in flexibility, but make sure to always set it up as far back as you can naturally go so you get as much stretch out of the motion as possible. And then I definitely control the movement all the way. And I let it stretch that last bit. Just make sure to not use too range of motion if you're stiff, because you can definitely pull an adductor if you're going too hard. And you let it stretch outside of what your body actually can do. It's not a good situation. This is something I learned actually from one of my chiros, I think, a couple years ago. And it's to roll out your feet before you train any kind of legs. The first thing to touch the surface to anything to grab the tension, the friction between the shoe and the floor, is your foot. So the fascia in the foot, which is basically all the muscles you have in your feet, right? They get really tense from walking a lot. So usually I grab a stick of some sort. Wooden stick usually works as well. And I just roll out my feet like this before I start training to loosen up all of that top fascia right in the foot. You're gonna be able to squat a lot heavier if you do this. If you haven't tried this before, try it. So I'm gonna bring out my belt now that the weight is kind of going up. I like to keep the belt off in the beginning because I can make a real estimate of like how strong I am to make sure that like my back isn't hurting at like one plate, because then we know definitely not to squat. But today I feel strong. My core seems to be doing really well, is engaging really well, so I'm happy with it. So now we're bringing out the belt for the heavier squats of the session. This is a Crown custom belt. Super cool dude, custom made for me. It says thoughts become things, and then obviously last name. Inside is kind of my thing, which is the wolf, because I've kind of always been like the lone wolf, I felt, basically my entire life. So it's my favorite animal, and so he put it back here. Super cool, super dope, and it's magnetic as well, so it's super easy, kind of just take with you. It stays like this, and you can just put it anywhere. But for now, this is what we're gonna do. Go into a little bit of a heavier set, see how that feels, see how high up we can work. I'm obviously not gonna do like a 1 rep max or anything because I'm not trying to be a power lifter. Yeah, anyways, who knows? What you got playing right now? Well, we're working up to more intense music. I'll have different music. I'll usually start off with like some JC, Kanye West, stuff like that, a little bit of Drake. And usually I'll end up on like my list that's literally called Killin' Shit. And that's what I feel. And it's like Asking Alexandria, Within Temptation, Pierce the Veil, stuff like that. Kind of the Empire, that's what I like. So we're gonna start working our way towards that playlist now. one here because it's still like a strength exercise for me. So obviously it's gonna build some mass too, but we're gonna go into other movements as well that are gonna be more, how should I say it, that aren't free bar. Whenever it's free bar, I always take into precaution, always think about like possible injuries. I'm obviously not a powerlifter, so I'm not trying to be as strong as I can be. We were just discussing like how strong I would be possibly if I did like 1 rep maxes. I actually haven't done that in years, so I don't know, but probably like 4 plates per side or something close to it. But as of right now, this is what we're kind of sticking to, around 3 plates. It's kind of where I'm at. Hopefully I can get to like 3.5 and have those feel easy. But I want to make sure that when I do perform, then I perform them with as controlled and secured, God, I'm tired. As good of a form as I can, because I don't want to have any lower back injury, stuff like that. Like, that's something that ruins your career. If you have one injury like that, you're never going to be the same after that. So. That was a good warm-up set. We gotta do this because you're playing music in the background, so I can talk to you guys. It's a warm-up set. I did about 20 reps. I do 1 leg at a time so that we can put emphasis more intensely and hyper-focus on each leg separately. That way they also grow at the same pace, and you can do that more controlled. Usually when you do them both at the same time, you're stronger in like the right leg. It kind of takes over more and you won't be able to like tell because it's evenly distributed either way, you know? So I like to do it this way. It's helped a lot with my quad development over the last years. It's just doing them unilaterally. Super easy. We had to do like a moving of the mic because I bite my shirt, and it's funny, like I've seen a lot of people take after me do that as well. It's not some cool thing that I do, it's something that I picked up that allowed for me to bite into something else rather than just like biting into my teeth, because I clench my jaws really, really hard when I train because of the intensity that I obviously put into my workouts. So I just did the easiest thing, was putting my shirt in my mouth. I've been doing that probably since I started training, and then I don't know, but apparently it was something special. So. is also apparently, as I'm looking at it, called a squat press. So this is what we're going to be doing now. This is one of my strongest movements. By me saying that, I guess I'm putting some pressure on myself right now. But yeah, this is one of my favorite movements. So it's more of like a hip dominant leg press. I like it a lot. My hips are just kind of built for these kind of motions. I'm allowed to connect really well with my quads in literally any kind of leg press. It doesn't really matter where my feet go. It's just that I guess my lower body's kind of wired that way. So that's why when I do hamstrings, it always has to be more hip dominant, talking about like RDLs and stuff. But any squat, any leg press I do, honestly, I just can't connect as well with my hamstrings as I do with my quads. So this one would probably be really good for somebody that has good connection with their hamstrings to do a hamstring dominant leg press. For me, this is quad dominant right now. So this is what we're gonna do. It's a pretty heavy machine, but it's one of my favorite. Okay, dokes. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's a pretty decent amount. I think the strongest I've ever been in a high bucks. I was thinking hack squats / Cybex. The strongest I've ever been in a Cybex, at my peak off season, I was doing like 11 plates per side. I had to have a plate extender. Working myself back up there. You kind of always lose a little bit of strength in prep, and then you kind of have to get back to it. Oh, sick. So we're gonna move into the last exercise that I have, which is gonna be a superset that I really like. It's gonna be walking lunges. I'm gonna do it obviously quad dominant, so I'm gonna be focusing on really stretching out my quad in front of my toe. And really stretching out that quad, making sure I get the blood flow all the way up into the insertion. And then we're gonna head over straight into the CC squats in a superset. And I'm actually gonna drop set that part as well. So I'm gonna go in with a 25 for the first reps until I can't no more. And then I'm gonna drop set into body weight. And I'm probably gonna do it about 2 rounds, maybe 3 if I have it in me, but I'm already pretty, this t-shirt, I don't know if you can tell, but it's drenched. Come on! physique check, kind of to see where I'm at. As you guys know, I'm transitioning from figure into wellness. It's two very, very different types of physiques. I do want to maintain some parts of my upper body. It's mainly my back that just needs to relax a little bit. And then we're trying to make these as big as possible. Abs are not too bad right now. I do want to get a little bit less fat off here just because I like it for personal purposes. But all in all, I have abs, so it's not too bad. Upper body is, obviously you can tell that it's gotten a little bit smaller since my figure days, but it's still like holding its shape. It's still looking very aesthetic to me, so that's why I like it. Shoulders obviously still there, still have a little bit of arm. Double bi kind of still looks jacked though, so we still look like that. And like this little bit of lat is kind of the only thing I kind of want to keep a little bit of, because obviously when we move into wellness with the side pose and everything, we still want that taper, right? So I'm just gonna hit a couple poses, see what you guys think. Just move my hair. I just gotta move my hair for this. Okay, so and then we have wellness. You might have to get behind me for this one because the angle. So the wellness. Do you see this part? Front pose for wellness. And then my back has definitely gotten significantly smaller since my figure days. It's the only part like I did wasn't really comfortable with anyway. Obviously my glutes, they're growing. They still need to get bigger. But for now, they're doing pretty well. I think at least. My back, see if you guys can see it. You're gonna see more than I can see. So, back still looks like that. Looks like that. So, it's obviously not completely gone. It takes a minute. I haven't trained upper body like that since Olympia, so it's going on like 9 months, I believe, like 8 or 9 months. 8 months, because it's August. So I haven't trained upper body hard like that since that time. I'm starting to train delts again. Like, so I rotate quads, hands and glutes, delts, rest, and then over again. So that's how I'm training right now. No back still. It's probably gonna take a while until I can do that again. But I'm enjoying at least having delts back in my program because I actually do enjoy training delts probably more than anything else. So that's what my body looks like right now. In the process, I want to be very transparent about this process with you guys. I'm nowhere near being ready to compete as a pro wellness athlete, but I will be. And yeah, it's cool to kind of record the process of it all and keep you guys involved in it. I'm pretty sure there's other girls out there that want to compete in wellness as well. Maybe I can contribute to something there, you know, with my own journey to that stage as well. So if you guys have anything that you want to see on my channel, please once again click the subscribe button down below. Let me know in the comments what you think about this episode, what you guys want to see on this channel, and I'll see you guys in the next episode.